As one learns to walk again with a prosthesis, the goal is to develop a gait pattern that minimizes the strain on the body's structures. Therefore, stance phase flexion and a smooth swing phase become vital. Our first goal is to achieve stance release. Here, Milan is unable to trigger it, which leads to a lack of knee flexion in the swing phase. By using the feedback signal for stance release, it becomes clear whether Milan is effectively triggering it. Note that an unsteady loading within a step can trigger the feedback signal multiple times, as can be seen here. This feedback signal is available in mode B, B+, and C, where a swing phase is possible, and helps to identify why the swing phase is missing. For further training, it is helpful to practice as many steps as possible with stance release, using different variations of step length, pace, and direction. Esther instructs Milan to take as many steps as possible along a defined distance. Each time he successfully triggers the acoustic signal, the steps are counted. The goal is to end up with more steps than you started with. Note that if the step length is less than half a foot, stance can no longer be released. It is also important to train walking in circles, for example in a figure of 8, to practice turning corners, as everyday movement involves navigating in multiple directions. During the physiological stance phase, the knee flexes after heel strike and extends through mid-stance. This feedback signal helps implement the physiological knee movement while walking. Be aware that integrating this into everyday life requires repeated practice. The signal will only sound when knee flexion after initial contact is followed by knee extension. Train this first in a static situation. Note, however, that the feedback is only triggered during dynamic movement, which first requires a successful stance release. It will not sound if either a successful stance release, knee flexion after heel strike, or knee extension is missing. Combinations of feedback signals, such as stance phase flexion and stance release, are possible and can be beneficial during training. Using these signals together helps integrate stance phase flexion into everyday walking. Here, Milan successfully initiates stance release, but stance flexion is not present. After receiving instructions, Milan tries again. He is struggling and shows a yielding step in between. With repetitions and training, Milan is able to rhythmically trigger the signal for stance release and stance phase flexion. The feedback signal, swing phase angle too high, can be useful to check if the Kenevo shows a too high swing flexion angle during initial swing. If this is the case, 3 short beeps will sound. Use this feedback signal in mode C to assess whether the user is surpassing the knee joint's capabilities and may require a prosthetic knee joint that provides better support for more active use, such as the C leg or genium.